108 for 1 is the score here. Floodlights are still on, so Phil Avery's sunshine hasn't arrived yet, but hopefully it will do sometime this afternoon, and Dan Norcross is in position to kick us off after lunch. Dan.
Indeed, first over after lunch, another crucial session. India 9 runs ahead with 9 wickets in hand. And it's going to be Overton who starts up from the Vauxhall end into Pujara. 3 slips are in place. First delivery, forward he comes in defence and pushes up to Anderson at mid-on. And there is no run. India have turned this game around from being 120 odd for 7. Shardul Thakur with that counter-attacking 50, and then wow, the crucial wicket of Joe Root on the evening of the first day. England batted pretty stoutly yesterday. Pope's 80 odd, but then another terrific opening partnership between KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma have got India right back in the game. You might even say just ahead, as Overton was a full ball on off stump, pushed it to the offside, and there's no run. Tuffers is with me, Phil Tufnell.
Afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
It's grey, it's gloomy, and the lights are on. It feels sort of bowling-y weather, but
it's gun barrel straight.
And it's gun barrel straight, yes.
Why is
yes.
that?
Do you know, I have no idea.
No,
I mean,
nor do I.
we were sort of fixating, almost fetishising over the wobble seam on the first day, weren't we? And looking at how that nipped one way and then the other. Not seen
Hasn't done much,
as much of that.
No, it looks flat.
Does look flat. Overton in again. It's on the pads and flicked away nicely through square leg. It will be cut off before it reaches the boundary, and they'll come back for a couple of runs. Pujara moving his feet nicely, moves to 16, 110 for 1.
And what's slightly worrying is that Pujara has come out like a
train of some kind.
A whirling dervish.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that shot was quite whirling-y dervish.
Yes.
There was a fair bit of wristy flick.
I mean, usually he sort of, looks to grind you into the dirt, but he's played some shots and he's looked to score, and I think that's been the difference between first innings and second innings for India. They've looked to be more positive.
Overton in again. It's worked away into the onside to mid-wicket again, as you say. Bit of bottom hand looking for... Well, and I wonder how much the 91 at Headingley has changed him, because he was stuck in his ways, wasn't he? The first 2.5 tests.
Yes, poor.
He was going nowhere and feet weren't moving. And now you just feel he's got his feet going. And against Moeen Ali before lunch, he loves to get after the spinners.
Well, yeah.
And he came after him, didn't he?
But he smacked 1 for 4, didn't he? Off drive, cut as well. I mean, usually he puts them away till he's...
Here's Overton. That's tighter to off stump. Some oohs and ahs left alone by Pujara. Went through very low to Bairstow.
He doesn't, I was going to say till he gets to about 20, but I mean till he gets to about 150 balls. It's slightly different with Pujara, isn't it?
Yeah.
He deals in balls. Not runs.
Yeah, a bit like when we used to talk about the Dentury, didn't we? Which was the Joe Denley century, which was once he'd faced 100 balls.
Yes.
It's a bit like
12.
Like Dom Sibley, yeah.
Yes.
He would do something similar.
But I think they've definitely come out with a mindset to put back to ball.
Here is Overton, and that's worked into the onside again by Pujara off the front foot, a little bit short from Overton. No real movement in that first over.
Nothing.
After lunch, and India going on nicely, 110 for 1, a lead of 11. We're not even halfway through the game, I should point out. We'll be halfway through the game in about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's an awful lot to be done here, and I'm looking at the Indian openers, and I read a rather intriguing piece before the start of the series, actually, about your chances of success if your openers both face 100 balls or more.
Right.
Both Rohit Sharma, who's faced 131, and KL Rahul, faced 101 balls.
Just got there.
Go on. But the stat itself isn't to hand, but your chances of success massively increase, really quite markedly, if both openers face 100 balls. For obvious reasons, I guess. The new ball
quite
is seeing off that new ball.
Quite
obvious, yes. Yes, they're batting. I mean, if your batsmen bat...
Yes.
For lengthy periods of time.
Which we haven't seen much of, really.
Not a lot. Chris Woakes, he's going to resume.
Key for me.
He's got the prevailing breeze that's going as we look at it from left to right.
And I just saw a few turn from Moeen Ali. Now, I don't think he'll be bowling because of the likes of Pujara and Rohit, but he did bowl a couple of overs before lunch, didn't it? And it took a couple of pieces out and spun.
Yes.
So
Jadeja ran, he'll be interested in that.
We're chasing 270? England, sorry.
Could easily be that, couldn't it? Or more. as Wokes is in. Starts first over after lunch and is driven elegantly by Rohit, but along the ground.
Lazily, I'm saying that is. He looks a bit... I mean, why did he whack that?
Well, first ball.
Well, perhaps, but I mean, he's played a bit like that. I mean, he's such a good player, Rohit Sharma, so great through the covers. But he doesn't really hit no ball. Doesn't really... I haven't seen him really sort of go after those deliveries. Perhaps he's just, looking to try and get India in a really solid position, but...
He's contained himself,
yes.
hasn't he? Here's Wokes again. And Rohit works his very languid style again.
Thank you.
Up to mid-on. It's like watching water gently roll down. I'm trying to think what water gently rolls down. Have you ever been to the Alhambra in Granada? It's
what are you talking about?
It's a beautiful Moorish palace.
Have you just slipped into another language?
I might have done. Yes.
Where is it? Go on. Yes.
There was the Alhambra in near Granada in Andalusia, in southern Spain.
See. Yeah.
And it has these lovely banisters of rolling water. It's very hot down there, of course.
Yeah.
Wokes
Irrigation.
is in. It's defended into the offside square of the wicket. Brought forward that time by Wokes, and Hasib Hamid tidies up.
Is it sort of like an irrigation thing?
Like that, but really, because it's so hot in Andalusia, the Moorish kings built this fabulous palace, which has got lovely shade, lots of gardens, lots of
Orange
big
trees.
leafed and orange trees, exactly. But the banisters of the stairs as you walk through the garden, and they have water rushing downside for cooling effect. These marble banisters. It's like Rohit Sharma's batting.
Yes, spot on. I'm there.
Wokes is in. Oh, and that's got an edge to it, has it? It's beaten the bat. It's turned Rohit round, but no, the fielders weren't entirely up for that. That ball has nibbled. I reckon that started. Well, let's see the replays. Wokes is bowling towards us, around about middle and off, and then it's gone away, jagged away. Wokes is smiling, not as much as he would have done. Wobble, indeed. That is very close, and I think actually there's a bit of bat on the pad, which is what gave them an initial sense that there may have been something. Yes, as bats clipped the pad, taken by Bairstow. That was a beauty.
The odd one
Wokes.
still is there, just for that encouragement, but it's going to be a long day for the bowlers, I think.
Here's Wokes, and Rohit plays this nicely, languidly again up to wide mid on.
I think I'm going to go there.
You do need to go there. You'd love the Alhambra.
Yeah.
Now we're just having a little look at the ultra edge, and it does show that the ball didn't hit the bat, and there was a spike when the bat hit the pad of that previous delivery, which is what initially encouraged England's fielders, but wisely Root did not refer. It's still gloomy. It looks bowlingy out there. Wokes in, forward comes Rohit. He has all the time in the world. 82 mile per hour ball, pushes it on the front foot up to Anderson. There's no run.
Do you ever wander about on holidays then and go and have a look at all these wonderful things?
Well, as a general rule, I try to avoid it because my preferred method for the holiday is to be entirely sedentary next to a pool with a book and a nice, cool, refreshing drink.
Right.
But that isn't the way that necessarily everybody in my holiday party likes to do things. So there's a bit of give and take.
Yeah.
111 for one. Nelson, feet off the ground if you're an Indian fan. Wokes in. That's defended again on the front foot. A little bit of pop off the pitch on this occasion. Moeen tidies up in the covers. And there's no run. 111 for one. Rohit 47. Pujara 16. I mean, I imagine you're in and out of temples all day long, aren't you?
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I enjoy the bit of culture.
Yes. Like a bit of, off to look at the frescoes.
Yes.
Oh, more Giotto.
Yes. Well, I did see that. I was a bit unimpressed, actually, with the Vatican.
A bit unimpressed with the Vatican.
Take that, Michelangelo. You've been home. Learn to draw some wide front on people, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind that. I don't mind a bit of that.
Yeah, there are more exciting bus shelters in Morecambe than the Sistine Chapel. Overton starts a new over from the Vauxhall end with Pujara facing up. Short, dabbed down nicely by Pujara. He's found that gap through the gully region. There isn't a gully. And Hasib Hamid has to run to his left to a slide stop and throw. They get through for a single. They're off, Nelson. You can take your feet off the ground if you are superstitious in that manner. 112 for one.
And I made the mistake of not buying the
guide.
The translation. Yeah, so I was just wondering.
So it's just in Italian.
Yeah, I was just wandering around looking at strange things.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that a few times. Yes.
Yeah, but very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Alhambra is something that you can just sort of enjoy for itself. It's like
Yes, and sit
the
there and
world's
contemplate.
greatest palace garden. Overton in, forward comes Rohit. It's hitting. Everything's coming out of the middle of his bat at the moment. It's
Cheers.
not speeding off it, but I think, was it the Headingley test when I was on with Michael, and Michael had suggested that Hasib Hamid's forward defence was so beautiful that in fact there should be a space demarcated as kind of 2 metre radius circle around about where short extra cover is. If you get the ball in there every time from a forward defence, you should get 8 runs.
Nice.
As Overton's in, ball's pushed up to
Wait,
mid off on, and there's no run.
Well, it's got to come to rest there.
It's got to come to rest,
Not
yeah.
just go through it.
Yeah, so the fielder is, in theory, not allowed to stop the ball until it's come to rest or gone beyond.
That could be a bit like curling.
Bit like, yeah, very much like curling. Yeah.
Get the fielders with brushes and mowers.
Well, you probably have to-
frantically mowing.
It's probably the
grass.
batter, actually. I think the non-striking batsman's probably got to do that. Rona Martin. Never forget her.
Murdoch.
Here's Overton, worked nicely off the legs. It's too straight. It's probably too leg side from Overton, really, and that's gone down to Wokes at deep backward square for an easy as you like single. Rohit has been beaten on the outside edge since lunch, but for the most part, he's looking very comfortable out there. And India are putting themselves gradually into a very decent position. They're effectively 14 for 1.
And you just get the feeling that there isn't a sort of a cluster.
Doesn't feel like it, does
Doesn't
it?
feel like a clustery day, does it? It feels like going through, getting the odd one and being patient. You don't feel.
Overton in again, cut
Cool.
beautifully
Hello.
by Pujara. That's running away to the boundary for 4.
Don't like the look of that.
When Pujara's cutting you.
Yeah.
Now then, somebody's gone down at the non-striker's end. Is that Pujara?
Oh, has he gone?
We need to have another look at this because he ran through and now he's in some distress, actually.
Ankle perhaps, turning for the second.
An
Beautiful
unnecessary
shot.
second because it was 4 from the moment it left his bat. It was more of a back foot drive, actually, than a cut. Came out of the meat of his bat and it ran away to the boundary for 4. And now the trainers are on.
Oh, he looks in a bit of... Hold on, there we are. Let's have a look.
Oh, yes, he's twisted his ankle.
Oh.
Oh, that's nasty. He's twisted his ankle at the non-striker's end.
Yes.
As Pujara, to be very clear. So he grounded his bat and and he's gone right over. It's like a 90-degree angle. Tuffers is not happy.
Sorry.
I'm not happy.
No.
That's painful.
How can you describe that? It's gone...
It's
Is
rolled-
it subluxed?
Oh, I don't know. Is that sublux?
That sounds right.
Because the toe...
It's really wincing here.
Yeah, the toe grabbed in on the left foot, and then the momentum of his body carried it through. Oh!
Sorry, every time
Sorry.
Tuffers makes that noise, for those of you listening on the radio, rather than watching on the television,
Sorry.
we're seeing a replay of
Yeah.
Pujara going over on his ankle, and it's... He's sitting at the moment with his knees up, and the trainers are on there having a look. And I wouldn't be massively surprised.
Strapping.
Well, they'll go with Strap. He's not the quickest runner between the wickets at the best of times. He's going to be very ginger about running now. What's
mean-
the situation with runners again? It
well,
changes. Don't think
Sure,
they're
they're
allowed
allowed,
them,
which is an absolutely ridiculous
I agree.
regulation, given that having a runner is,
the funniest thing.
well, A, it's depriving spectators of one of the funniest things in cricket, possibly the funniest thing in cricket, inevitable chaos and mix-ups, and
Yep.
there is no advantage in having someone having to do your running for you, particularly if you're the striking
Well,
batsman.
you say that. I
Often
used
means a man will
I
have
used to
one.
get a runner. When I was captain of my college team, I got a runner every game for 10 games running.
Right.
I feigned a slight thigh injury and then
Yes.
I didn't have to run. It's great.
Yeah, but
Got
not
quite
everyone's
handy.
I
Yeah.
don't know whether I agree with that, actually. It's a bit like having a chauffeur. Surely everyone would like a chauffeur.
Yeah, but if he's genuinely injured,
You don't want to do your own
You're allowed-
job.
no, it
you're
is-
allowed
it is-
sub-fielders.
It is
if,
perilous, yes.
if a fielder's injured,
That's true. So
Well,
why shouldn't
just
you have
allow a
sub-runner?
runner.
Yeah.
for an obvious injury.
Well, we're
Well,
talking-
hold on. No, as we're just waiting for the
Yes.
strapping people, you're not allowed an extra bowler.
Yeah, but he's still batting. You're not getting someone else to bat in his place. Just someone to do the running.
Okay, then. Well,
And I mean, it could be that you let the opposition choose who it is to run, so you can't just bring out your fastest runner. There, because
That would be fun. Now, we're
call
watching.
for Gat. or Nasser.
Well, ideally, actually, you'd have Pujara for Pujara, wouldn't you? Because he's not the best runner between the wickets.
No.
He's now having strapping put on. It's quite an elaborate process, this. The
Yeah.
injury took place 4 minutes ago. And
Yeah, they are
this is quite the hold-up. They're putting on really tight strapping.
They are quite resilient ankles. They go
Yeah.
like that, don't they? And they do snap back, and it's either gone or not gone, if you know what I mean.
But a sprain can be with you. I suppose it'll
Yes.
be worse the next day, will it? As it sort of a bit more
Tender.
blood rushes to the area, because there'll be bruising there.
Yeah. You don't. A sublux, I think it is never a nice thing at the time, but then it kind of
Eases.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a sublux.
Well,
A sublux or subluxation is an incomplete or partial dislocation of a joint or organ. So I think it needs to be, I don't know, more than of an organ.
An organ.
Dislocated big liver.
Okay. I don't like the sound of that.
No.
Not even partially.
According to the World Health Organization, it's a significant structural displacement.
Yeah, and that was it. Oh, so I'm kind of right there. I'm happy with that.
It's close
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Not that the ankle really is an organ, but I think we're
no,
metaphoric. It's a metaphorical sublux of the ankle. How's that? There's extra strapping going on. There's so much strapping going on. I don't know how the boot's going to go on here.
No.
We're now 5 minutes into this,
Yeah.
and which is in itself an interesting point.
Perhaps
Should he
he'll come
not have
out
been
with-
taken off and had this done and then been brought back? I don't know what the regulation is on that, but
No, perhaps
this has
he'll-
been going on quite a while. By the way, this is the first of 2 England matches that we're bringing you today, because tonight at 7 p.m. you can hear commentary on the second T20 between England's women's side
Well, they played
and
well.
New Zealand from home. Henry Moran will be there
Yes,
for us, and yes, they played very well in the first game at Chelmsford.
It looked a bit
Won.
undercooked, the Kiwis.
Well, they did. I mean, the England women have had a lot of cricket. In stark contrast to last year, and indeed with the New Zealand side, they've played a lot of domestic cricket. They've had the 100, they've had Charlotte Edwards Trophy, Rachel Hayhoe Flinton. It showed. Now, this is still going on, this treatment. The umpires are standing over Pujara. Pujara's now got to get his boot on.
Yeah.
He's going to, and it'll be interesting to see him actually when he stands up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep a beady eye on this. England's
What if he
fielders.
If he falls straight over again? Ow!
England's fielders are dispersed hither and yon. We've got 3 in a cluster down below us. There's 2 sat on the ground. I think that's Hasiba Mead and maybe Dawid Malan together at sort of mid-wicket, if you like. There are 2 together further away at wide mid-off. The 3 slips are together. And they're all sort of, creating... There's little clusters everywhere. It's a very messy scene out there at the moment.
But
Now
I
then,
think
Pujara's putting his pad back on.
Yeah, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Yeah, he's moving around all
I
right.
want to see how he moves. He's on strike, don't forget, because this occurred when he just hit a delicious 4 off the back foot off Craig Overton. It was a bit short and wide. And
Yeah, let's see how he wanders
punished it.
back to the stumps at the other end.
He's putting his gloves on now.
Well, I mean, it's the time, isn't it, where you've got to bite the bullet a bit and get on with it, haven't you? You know, crucial times, middle of the series, you've got to go out there and...
Well, I just wonder what will happen when he sets off for his first run.
Well,
now, he's having a little jog on the spot.
that
so to
was a good
speak.
start.
Yeah, that's okay. He's walking quite freely.
Yeah.
Now he's going to do a little bit of gardening just to practice that. And eventually, 7 minutes after the injury took place, we will resume with Pujara heavily strapped on the ankle after what may or may not have been a sublux.
Yes.
I think I like it. I'd never heard of it before, so I'm up for it.
Cool. As long as you're happy.
Every day's a school day here.
Oh, yes.
Overton resumes at last. Last ball of the over. Pujara facing. And Pujara comes forward, and he was able to put weight on that left foot there. He's coming forward and defends back to Overton. That's the end of the over. 117 for 1. Rohit 48, Pujara 21.
Well, I did that. I did a walk quite a long time ago now, about 10 years ago, for Macmillan Cancer Relief.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Fantastic.
to where?
Well, up and down the country, all the cricket grounds and everything, raised lots of money, and it was fabulous. And the physio lady who was with us and had the sort of chat beforehand. He said, "Have you got any sort of ailments through cricket and everything?" Said, "No, I'm fine. So on about day 5, we were walking into this little town. I think it was around Uxbridge anyway, and I've just got over the hill, and it was like I'd been, felled, you know what I mean? And of course, I had a very bad left Achilles all my career, and it just sort of like turned to wood.
Oh, Wokes starts a new over and is driven nicely by Rohit Sharma to the left of mid-on. Not with any great power, but with good placement, gets a single. And just looking at Pujara's running there, it's a little awkward, as you'd expect, but he's got through to the other end, 118 for one.
And we were just coming sort of down the hill, and there was this big sort of, throng waiting for us with banners and cheers and everything. And just as I've come over the hill, I've sort of collapsed in a heap.
Oh, no.
I know. And it was very, very painful. Couldn't put any weight on it. And as I was lying there sort of yelping in pain, this lovely old lady came up to me and said, "Oh, hello, Phil. Can I have your autograph?" As I was screaming in pain. But then she did. It was the Leicester Tigers physio lady who was wonderful.
Right.
Just forget
Oh,
about
that's
it.
handy.
And she did exactly the same strapping on which I saw out there.
And it worked, yeah.
And it was just sort of like Frankenstein walking every day after that.
Wokes in to Pujara, who defends and crazily looks for a quick single as the ball just dribbles out to the onside square of the wicket. But I think we'll see here that England's fielders will be very much on whichever end Pujara may or may not be going to here.
Yeah, that will be a definite plan.
I mean, it would have been part of a plan when he came out to bat, because he is, as I say, not the most nimble runner between the wickets. But now, with this impediment, it was interesting there, Pope was in on it really quickly.
Yeah.
As Wokes is in now to Pujara. Pujara comes forward, pushes out to the offside. Moeen Ali is stationed in the covers. Hasib Hamid at cover point. Moeen Ali at cover. 3 slips in place.
He's looking good.
He is looking good.
Yeah.
I just wonder, they have to press forward on that, because it's his left ankle. So any kind of being dragged forward might make him a little bit more tentative on that front.
Yeah.
And Wokes has been getting the ball to move a bit after lunch. He's in now. Pujara comes forward again, plays this well off the front foot. Again to Moeen Ali in the covers. And again, there's no run. It's gloomier than it's ever been, really.
There's no rain, is there?
I don't think so, but there's a lot of grey cloud away behind the floodlight pylon away to our left. The wind is moving from left to right. Wind, it's a breeze, really. It's not a fully fledged wind. Gentle zephyr. As Wokes runs in once more. Pujara waits for him and then lets this go by outside the off stump. It's a little wide, there's no run. Andy?
Well, Pujara's been very fluent so far, 4 boundaries in his 21. And we saw this at Leeds as well. He was 22 after 30 balls at Leeds, 21 after 30 balls for them. Those are his fastest starts in terms of innings where he's batted at least 30 balls since October 2018. In the other innings in England this summer when he's played 30 balls, his score at 30 balls have been 0, 4, 0 and 4.
And I tell you, it's not skittish either. It's been an innings of authority so far as Wokes is into him. And that's on the pads, worked to Pope.
Well,
at square leg, that is the end of the over, the 46th of the innings. India are 118 for 1. Rohit has 49 on the threshold of half century. Pujara 21 more from Phil Tufnell, and then it will be Simon Mann.
Well, he hasn't scored a run, has he, Andy, in the first innings of this series so far? I mean, he's been really poor, hasn't he? 1s and 2s and...
Yeah, the first innings, well, the World Test Championship, he had 8, then against England 4, 9, 1, and in the first innings here another 4.
Yeah, so really bad return under a bit of pressure, I suppose. Simon.
Good afternoon. Here is Overton. He's also under a bit of pressure as well. Goes in, bowls outside the off stump. No stroke from Rohit Sharma. He's on 49. Overton hasn't made the best start. He was neglecting for a long time.
40 overs he didn't have a bowl.
Yeah.
Gets you a little bit, I don't know actually. Does it make you keener or is it a bit sulky?
Well, I don't know. Depends on your personality, Ron.
Perhaps, yeah.
or that, how you feel at that particular time of the week.
I think that might make me a little bit sort of...
Yeah, the captain doesn't rate me.
Yeah,
I'll show him, or... I'm sulking a bit.
Yeah, not sure.
Overton bowls outside the off stump, guided away by Rohit into the offside towards cover.
Yeah, give me this ball, you know what I mean? I wanted a nice, fresh, hard ball, but there you go, things you got to do.
Yeah, he went with Anderson, Robinson, Wokes for most of the morning, and then quarter hour before lunch we saw Overton, and then Moeen, who did get one to spin, but he also bowled a couple of rank
long-offs.
Yeah.
Well, one of them actually took a piece out of the pitch.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now, Jadeja
Here's Overton bowling outside the off stump, guided away, and he's found the gap as well. There's his 50. It's going out towards the cover boundary. It won't be 4. It'll be picked up on those very lush pitches out towards the boundary at deep cover. Rohit goes to 51. And India to 120 for 1. Andy's written a note. I think you have to read it out, Andy.
It's his 22nd score of 50 or more in Test cricket, 7 of which he's turned into centuries. His 3rd in consecutive matches in this series. He had 83 in the first innings at Lord's, 59 in the second innings at Headingley, but he's never had 100 outside India.
He's 51 not out. Overton bowls from outside the off stump full. He decides not to drive, lets it go through to Bairstow. And the other thing as well about Rohit's half century, I don't know, did you mention the balls? 145 balls.
But comfortably his slowest. Previously 132 balls in Sydney. His second slowest was that one in the second innings at Leeds at 125 balls. There's only 3 times that he's reached 50 and more than 100 balls. So we're talking about his overall strike rate in the series, around about 40 per 100 balls. Previously in his career, around about 58. So he's played with incredible discipline.
Yeah. He waits for Overton. Goes into bowl to him now, and he clips that away nicely into the onside towards mid-wicket, and there is no run. The shadows and the floodlights are showing up this afternoon. The forecast I saw suggested the sun was going to come out this afternoon.
Well, Phil said it was going to be really... Phil Avery, that is, was saying that it's going to be like 23 degrees this afternoon with the sun belting down, and tough work for England. It still is tough work for England.
I mean, to be fair, England would prefer these conditions rather than the sun coming out. But India making progress, 120 for 1. Overton goes in, bowls to Rohit Sharma, who leans forward. He seems to have all the time in the world to play that defensive shot. 82 miles an hour from Overton on the front foot. And there's no run. It's the end of the over. So 121, Rohit 51, Pujara 21.
Well, Dan was describing him like some staircase with water running down it in Andalusia or something.
Sorry?
Some palace garden. There's a palace garden somewhere in Andalusia where the
he was comparing Rohit Sharma to
where the banisters are made of water or something.
Right. Yeah. He really needs to go to bed earlier, Dan Norcross.
It sounded a lovely place. Yeah.
Well, he's a fine player, but what has been noticeable in England is he's really reined himself in and batted with tremendous discipline this summer.
Yes, having said that though, there have been a couple, those extra cover drives where you just think to yourself, hit it, and it's there to be hit. Yeah. And what he has done, you're right, Andy. Andy, I think, was just playing a hook shot there. He's put that hook and pull away, hasn't he? Which has done him.
I think he was out 3 times early in the series.
They haven't bowled much short stuff to him,
they've
though.
only bowled 1 bouncer to him. So.
Overton bowled him 1 before lunch, actually turned into a long hop, which is swivel pulled for 4.
Yeah.
There's some movement at the far end. There's a problem here at the Oval because the spectators are sitting just beneath the sight screen.
Yeah, why was...
And people are just moving around a bit. Pujara was distracted. Here is Wokes bowling to Pujara, who back cuts, and it's very well fielded by Hamid, diving away to his left at backward point. Excellent piece of fielding.
Yes, I've been surprised at that. Why haven't England, perhaps the boys haven't got the pace and it's not quite the wicket, but why haven't England then just set the old trap back now and, at least let him duck it or weave it. 1, I think we've seen, and say that wasn't really a short ball, it was a long hop.
Well, they might get to that plan.
Well, perhaps sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah, good way of looking at it. Wokes bowls, very full, driven by Pujara, not perfectly timed, and it's half stopped at wide mid-off.
Oh, that's hurt.
Is it Jimmy who's fielded that? Has he just hurt himself fielding that?
He's got that dodgy cut knee, hasn't he?
Yeah. They only get a single for that. They looked at 2, but they decided against it in the end. Just watching Anderson going off away to his left-hand side. He slipped and knocked it back. Yeah, he just got off a bit gingerly there.
Run it off.
I think Pujara was saying he couldn't turn for the second.
Right.
Because there should have been a second there.
Yeah, I was just watching Anderson. There was a suggestion that he might have hurt himself. He's okay. He seems to be at mid-off. 121 for 1. Wokes bowls. Rohit nudges this into the leg side towards Pope at square leg.
So he can just run forward. Yes. It's a bit like flip-flops.
Have you ever batted with a runner? Toughest?
No, sorry, but you can't walk backwards in flip-flops.
Well, you could try.
But it's difficult.
Not very successful.
Have I ever batted with a runner? Yes, somewhere along the
Right.
line, and it ended in disaster.
Oh, right. Because it's quite good fun not to have to run. You just stand there and whack it
Until
or
someone
block it, or
until someone runs you out.
well, that's it. Well, you will still do your calling. Here's Wokes bowling. That's driven nicely, and Anderson can't get that one. Diving away to his left and mid-off. Caressed away by Rohit Sharma for 4. Through wide mid-off. Lovely stroke. Delightful from Rohit.
And that's what I was just saying earlier. Now he's got to his 50. You know, he's had a couple of those in that morning session where he could have hit them, and he's just decided just to play a bit more conservatively.
I think the mistake people make when they bat with the runner, or used to bat with the runner, is
Yes.
that they let them do the calling. You still do the calling yourself.
Yes, perhaps.
Because you don't always trust them.
Perhaps a bit of gaffer tape over there.
Yeah.
Because yes, well, who's saying?
Always do your own calling, Thomas.
Yes,
It's one of the
yes.
maxims for life.
Yep.
125 for 1 with that stroke. Here's Wokes bowling, and Rohit plays the full face back down the pitch, and Wokes picks up, and there is no run. Wokes at 85 miles an hour, so he's still got his pace up, despite the fact now he's is it 14th over he's bowling?
14th,
Yeah.
3rd in this spell, and 9th today.
And obviously a decent bowl in that first innings. Well, 15 overs in the first innings on his comeback. So he will not have, that body will not have had much of a workout like this in recent weeks, or indeed in the last year. Goes into bowl to Rohit, and Rohit is forward there. Very solid looking forward push. Looks determined, Rohit Sharma. That goes up to Anderson at mid-off. There's no run, it's the end of the over, and India inching ahead here, 125 for 1. It's been a great effort from them in the second innings, not entirely unexpected with the pitch easing, although the overheads would encourage England, and they've been good overheads all day for them, really lights on, gloomy, but the pitch is good. 125 for 1. The lead is 26 now. Michael Vaughan alongside me.
Yeah, good afternoon, Simon. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, it just feels that this England attack is just so similar. Everything's the same. It's all around 80 odd miles an hour. It's all full of length.
Well, that won't improve Overton's mood. He was just about to bowl there, and Pujara pulled away. So someone moving down beneath us in the OCS stand.
And I do think that they're bowling like a team that are bowling on a pitch that's doing a lot. And I understand why they're doing that, because there's not really one of the 4 that you could really turn to go on, be a bit hostile. You know, Jimmy's got nothing left. He's bowled the quickest ball in the game for England. 86.7 miles an hour. He's 39. So England haven't got that go-to bowler to, you know, rough Pujara up or Rohit. The one thing I'll say about Rohit, I don't think they bowled enough short balls from the pavilion end to try and get him hooking and pull into this bigger side of the ground. He's been out 3 times doing it in the series.
Overton bowls outside the off stump, cracked away for 4. Short and wide from Overton. And Pujara smashed it to the backward point boundary. He really did rifle that away. There was some real intent in that stroke. And a chastening one for Overton. I think he's frustrated himself. He knows he's not bowling particularly well. He's offered up too many bad balls.
Yeah, and this is the concern for England, and having an attack like this when the ball's not moving around, that it becomes quite nice for the batters to face, because it's the same from either end. You get so accustomed and used to it.
Overton tries again. Bowls to Pujara. Fuller this time. Pujara is on the front foot, turning it on the drive to mid-on.
They will have to turn to Moeen. We'll have to turn to Moeen Ali's off spin.
I thought before lunch he caused Rohit 1 or 2 problems.
Yeah.
So Pujara seemed to deal with it. Okay, small sample size, but dealt with it very well indeed. Pujara likes to get down the pitch against the spinner. They're taking one of the slip fielders out now.
Mid-wicket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be Moeen's role now to chip away and try and grab a wicket or 2, but make sure he's not going for too many. I was just looking at 31.4 overs till the second new ball, so they're still a long way off that second new ball as well.
Overton bowls outside the off stump, and that's guided beautifully by Pujara for 4 more, down towards the deep third boundary. No chance for Burns running back from second slip. They've taken the slip out, big gap between second slip and backward point, and it was outside the off stump and expertly played. Joe Root could not have played that stroke any better. It's 133 for 1. The 50 partnership is up, and Pujara has been positively skittish in this innings.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Pujara in the series. His average in the first inning is what, and he's averaging the second innings, because he's had quite a few good scores in the second innings now.
Yeah, we mentioned his first innings scores this series now 4, 9, 1 and 4. Second innings.
Here's Overton going in to bowl to him. He's with him now. It's full, and he plays defensively back to the bowler, who picks up and he shakes the stumps at the striker's end, doesn't release it, gets the crowd going. Overton needs to get going.
Yeah, get into him. That's what it needs. England needs to kind of. Joe got them together after that wicket, and you could see he was animated. And England need to realise that they've got to try something. They've got to try and get into the fight here. And if it means you're throwing the ball or you're just having a few verbals, you've got to try something. England have got to get into the fight quickly, because this game's going away from them.
133 for 1. Lead at 34. Overton bowls very full, almost Yorker length, dug out by Pujara, clips it to Moeen at mid-wicket, and there is no run.
I guess, you say, get into the fight, and then you bowl at 82 miles an hour. It's not.
Well, that's the problem. That's part of the problem
they have, isn't it? They've got no one that can get the ball to around 92 miles an hour.
Pujara's second innings scores 12 not out at Nottingham, 45 at Lords, at 200 ball epic, fluent 91 at Headingley, and now 30 today. Not out.
30 and 42 balls as well from Pujara. Overton bowls down the leg side, poor delivery. No damage done though as far as England are concerned, because it was just too far away for Pujara to clip off his hip, taken by a sprawling Bairstow. 133 for 1 at the end of the over. 49 gone, and India's lead is 34. I mean, that's what you've got to try to think about. Is you're 34 for 1 effectively.
So just to conclude, Michael, his first innings average this series in 4 tests is 4.5. Second innings currently 178 runs for 2 dismissals, so average 89.
Well, it's kind of been the story of the series, that second innings batting has been that first 3 hours of batting in the Test match has been a lot more difficult, and then it's got a little bit easier. I thought Trent Bridge was probably the fairest of the wickets, in terms of staying consistent throughout. Did a little bit on day one, but it wasn't extreme. Headingley, India didn't play great, but he certainly did a lot more in those first 2 hours than it did for the next day and a half. And then it started to just do a little bit more when England bowled in that second inning. But I just think that was just the mindset of the Indian players. They're just kind of gone at that stage. I mean, they put up a fight, but
once they got Pujara at LBW playing no shot in that first morning, it just seemed to just break the resistance.
Yep.
It was a big wicket, that. Right, here is Wokes looking to make something happen. Bowls to Rohit. Rohit comes forward, plays a bit of bottom hand there into the onside towards mid-wicket.
I reckon Rohit Sharma's a player that, as a bowler, when you steam in and you give it everything, it comes out around 84 miles an hour, and then he looks like he's got all the time in the world to just come forward. He almost like plays it as if says, "Is that all you've got?"
Yeah, there's something very languid about him, imposing, but not imposing in a really aggressive sense, although he can play in that way.
When's the bouncer coming? There's 2 out there.
There is a man back now on that deep leg boundary. Here is Wokes going into bowl to Rohit, way down the leg side. Rohit, there's no chance to catch up with that one. Bairstow away to his left. Who's it out there? Is it Pope on the deep back of square leg boundary?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. Is it Dan Lawrence, is he out there? Who's that? But he thought Mark Wood at Lords when he came, and it was so obvious he was just going to bowl bouncers, and it worked. I think it's worth England completely telegraphing it and saying to right, we're going to bounce you. Set the bouncer field and just keep going at him.
Yes, it is Pope down there at deep back of square leg. Wokes bowls. There is the short ball. It's helped on its way by Rohit down towards fine leg. It's only a single. He's picked out the fielder along the ground. Guided pull from Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, and at 80 odd miles an hour, Rohit should have enough time to just kind of roll with it. When it comes a bit quicker, you can try and roll a bit, and then it just hits you a bit harder, and that's when you get the top edge and you get caught down at fine leg.
35 runs ahead. 1 wicket down in their second innings. Rahul given out, caught behind by the third umpire for 46. Wokes bowls outside the arsenal, uppercut from Pujara. That's going to be runs, 4 of them, down towards the fine third boundary. Deliberately played. And Pujara is showing us a different side of his game here. He really has been nice and positive. Beautiful stroke. An upper dab, really. He got one of the stewards off his seat as well. Otherwise it hit him, I think. Whether he was
caught him by surprise.
Yeah, I think whether he's looking at his phone, perhaps you're not allowed to do that, or looking at the crowd, which you do need to do, judging on the evidence of this summer. We've had lots of intruders. He had to leap out of his seat to get out of the way of the ball. Wokes bowls. Forward goes Pujara, plays it back to the bowler. There's no run. That boundary took India's lead to 39. They were 138 for 1. They were 127 for 7 on the first day. In real trouble in this game.
Well, they've got some inner fighting strength, haven't they? This Indian side. They almost seem to be a better team when it's backs to the wall and they're getting criticised and people are writing them off. Virat seems to have a mentality of, okay, that's fine.
Wokes bowls. Oh, is that caught? But no, it's not. It's not caught behind it. He went for the little dab shot and he missed it and he went through to Bester. But Bester went sprawling away to his right. The ball must have just swung after the ball had gone past the bat. Wokes raised his hand and realised that Pujara did not touch it. It's the end of the over. The ball is beating the bat, but not as much as England would like. It's not taking the edge as much as England would like. 138 for 1 is the score. 39 runs ahead. Rohit has 56, Pujara 34. More from you, Michael, and then it will be Isha.
Yeah, it looks to me like Moeen Ali is going to have a go from our end, the media stand end. A couple of helmets are coming out for the fielders close to the bat. Johnny Bairstow, the keeper, will take one. I see Hamid will take the other. Can Moeen produce one of those spells that we've seen him produce in the past? That was a poor shot from Pujara, that last ball.
Afternoon to you, Michael.
Afternoon, Ish.
Gloomy here in South London. Those clouds have hung around a fair while. We did think that maybe they might part and we'd have a bit more sun this afternoon, but the lights are still on. And
you don't get it often, do you, down here?
Dark haze, yeah.
A bit gloomy down south. Generally is.
Just like Manchester, Yorkshire.
That was glorious in Leeds last week, Ish.
Was. On a couple of
T-shirts on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the days I had about 3 coats.
Talking of 3 coats, there's a few sat to my left outside. They've got hoodies on, they've got blankets.
I think it's supposed to get warmer tomorrow. Plan in advance. Think about what to wear.
Layers.
Through the wardrobe, yeah. So Moeen Ali to bowl from the Vauxhall end. Bowling to Rohit Sharma. Slip in a short leg in position. As he comes forwards, looks to lap sweep, just kind of pats the ball to deep backward square. There's a deep mid-wicket out on the boundary and long on, as well as deep cover. There are the 3 fielders out as Sharma spins the bat in his hand. Moeen Ali gently walks forwards now into his bowling action as Sharma advances, bowls it wide of the off stump, and Sharma's trying to reach for the ball. It hits the outer part of the bat and finds its way to point, no run. Circles and heads back to the crease. Moeen Ali sets off once more, but then stops himself as he repositions now past the stumps to Sharma, who's driving wide of the off stump out to deep cover for a single. Comes through casually, moves to 57. 138 for 1 then. 139, sorry, for 1 India, leading by 40. Pujara. I actually think that delivery from Wokes' last ball of the last over is quite a good one to him. That's how he got out in the first innings. It was quite a loose, wide one. He just had a little flirt at it. He likes to play that cut shot, but certainly we've seen quite a bit from Pujara in the last 6 months or so. The second innings, he tends to be way more positive and has
I think it helps him, when the ball's not swinging as much. I think he's such a better player. He likes dancing down to the off spinner, I know that.
That long on's come up inside the circle for Cheteshwar Pujara. Silly point in position as he advances and pads it away to point.
Well, his mindset against the off spin is to dance down every ball. As soon as he sees it around his eyesight, he runs down and just tries to work it with the spin.
Bat stump high, taps it down, comes forwards, whips the ball to mid-wicket, no run. Rory Burns rushes towards the ball, collects it with his right hand, tosses it back to Moeen Ali. Nice buzz here at the Oval as Ali is through, back in his crease. Pujara cutting out to deep cover, but quite straight as Malan comes round, about 20 metres off the rope.
The ankles, you can see him now, he's just jumping around. It'll be sore, that. You just twist your ankle and it's probably just strained the ligaments in there. That's going to be a sore for a while.
It's never nice to see, is it? End of the over. 141 for 1, lead of 42. Pujara to 36.
I reckon it'll be one of those injuries that I know Jaswal Pujara quite well from his time at Yorkshire. I wouldn't say, it's very similar to me, I wouldn't say the high up in his priorities is fielding. And if there was any ounce of a chance that he may get out of fielding, and I was in that boat, particularly towards the end, an injury like this is going to be perfect for him. I don't think we'll see him out there.
You've seen him hurrying to the boundary quite a bit, fielding it square leg and mid wicket.
Been a few batters in the history of the game that have been able to. I think Inzamam had a time, didn't he, where he used to spend a bit of time off the field. Jeffrey didn't. So Jeffrey, didn't he have a...
Chris Gale.
Chris Gale, yeah.
Recent times.
Yeah, misses a bit of fielding. Who have we got on now? Ollie Robinson.
Yes. Well, what a start it's been to his international career, but he's lacked that kind of
Oomph.
burst and oomph of energy that we've seen in the first few Test matches. That's just fatigue from all the overs he's been bowling. But here he is now from the pavilion end, 2 slips in position. There's a backward point, almost catching in a deep point as well, as he's in now to Sharma, who tucks it off his pads down to the fine leg boundary. A loose ball first up, angled down the leg side, and he'll fetch 4 for that. Rohit Sharma 61, 145 for 1, lead of 46.
Yeah, that's a gift. That really is a ball. It doesn't matter if you're on 50 yard or naught. You're not really going to miss that opportunity. It's an easy one. Yeah, he's just got to be on it here. Ollie Robinson, he's had a long series, bowled lots of overs. You've somehow got to find that inner strength to just carry on and keep being so concentrated.
Sharma back and across and gently pats the ball to extra cover off the front foot.
That's the ball I talk about. A bowler runs in and what was that? Oh, it was only 74 miles an hour, understandably. That Rohit looked like he had all the time in the world. It's like, what's that?
Like he's having a net. He's very languid, isn't he?
Yeah, fantastic player to watch. Still yet to get that 100 away from India. Could this be the day?
He looks very casual and almost on the verge of falling asleep at the crease as he plugs the ball. He taps it down now, moves his foot forwards as he tucks the ball to mid-wicket. So gentle as he rotates his wrists. It's all in his own stride, isn't it? Saturday afternoon here at the Oval, day 3. We talked about it as being a series-defining day. 1 all in the series. 1 to play after this one. And India say that they've passed the test so far today as Robinson comes in on an angle. So Sharma struck on the pad, he goes up, given not out. And Joe Root's going to have a chat to his bowler.
Well, they wasted one review with an LBW to Rohit Sharma off Moeen Ali. They're not going to go for this one. Looks a little bit high. It's that ball that's jagging back into Rohit Sharma. It's been a threat throughout the series.
There's a really urgent appeal from behind the stumps. As we'll look at it now, yeah, it drags back. It's above the knee roll. So you're right, Michael, probably height. Good decision not to review. The bat stickers off the back of Rohit Sharma's back glistening under lights here at the Oval. Robinson bowls full. Sharma again just gently pats it to the bowler.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Ollie Robinson bowl. Is that LBW on the screen yet? It's umpire's call and it's missing the top of off stump. So a good non-review. I don't think he's bowled him 1 bouncer in this game, has he? He's had him out twice in the series with a short ball. I don't remember him having to duck or sway any deliveries from Ollie Robinson.
Might be coming, Michael.
Into day 3.
Into the footmarks and bowls full. That's beautifully driven to mid-on from Sharma. Gets into position and glides his hands forwards with his bat. No run. 145 for 1. Sharma 61, Pujara 36. We were talking about intruders onto the field, Michael. And back in the day, whenever it was a game, a test match won, and people used to just burst onto the field and just rush on. I just used to find that so fascinating, watching all of that footage back.
Well, also like one-day finals at Lords or test matches where the crowd would be sat just beyond the boundary rope. That would have been the 80s, I guess, early 90s maybe.
Can you imagine that happening now?
Well, no, I can't. But I certainly played in, in the 90s where you won a one-day game, or particularly in county cricket, you went away from home and you won a game, and all your fans would run on and chase you off the pitch.
How long would they stay on there?
Well, the presentation was always done on the balcony.
Yeah.
So you do your post-match interviews overlooking. We beat the West Indies here actually in 2000. We got the Wisden Trophy back for the first time in many years.
As Moeen Ali comes through, Pujara advances, clips the ball to wideish mid-wicket, stopped by Rory Burns, no run.
Yeah, and I remember Nasser Hussain lifting the trophy up in the old pavilion with thousands of supporters on the grass. I think that may have been the last time. I don't think it happened in 2001.
Ali bowls onto the back foot. Pujara cutting out to deep cover for a single. Moves to 37. 146 for 1, lead of 47 India.
Yeah, he used to charge on and nick your caps, didn't they? And try and nick your shirts.
Yeah, Aggers pretty much claimed he had his whole kit nicked here in 1984.
Stumps.
Strolled off with just his pants on.
It's been an absolute free-for-all, just barging into everyone as Sharma forward presses and guides the ball out to long on. That man's just been positioned there for Rohit Sharma as Rohit moves to 62, 147 for 1, lead at 48.
And look, sometimes you used to get fans running on and shoving money into players' pockets when they got like a century.
That did for me.
As Pujara forward presses again, back punches past mid-off out to the deep cover boundary, quite straight as Milan comes round to cut it off.
I don't know if that still happens in the leagues, particularly up north around the Yorkshire leagues, Bradford leagues, Lancashire leagues, where if someone got a 50, they would send a cap around the ground to get a few quid in for the...
Pujara defends back down the pitch.
For the player, and generally it went straight behind the bar, but I don't know if that still happens.
I suppose the club leagues now, they do get paid.
Yeah. Well, they've always
Professional leagues.
Yeah, they've always had a few quid in the leagues.
Pujara advances again, covers the ball, hits the pad nearly onto bat, and it flies up out to the offside, but no one there catching. So end of the over, 149 for 1, lead of 50 India. Rohit Sharma 62, Pujara 29.
Yeah, my coach at Yorkshire, Doug Paget, he used to always con the young player in the side in second team. Bear in mind we're pros. In second team cricket, he would always say to them, go around with the cap. Someone got a 50.
Something we could incorporate into the women's game, I reckon, is Moeen Ali is receiving applause down at fine leg.
Man with the cap.
Man with the cap.
Tammy Bowman the other night.
Yeah, she was on fire, wasn't she? 97, Chelmsford, blasting it everywhere. Robinson past the stumps to Sharma, inside edge, onto the pad, onto the floor. I think it might have caught the inner part of the leg as well. And now he's down on his haunches.
It feels like we've got two teams here, and it maybe by the end of Manchester it'll be almost like the survival of who's still standing. Seems to be a lot of niggles around.
Sorry, that was slightly higher up than the inside part of the leg.
Yeah, it wasn't quite bullseye though, was it?
Close.
Double three.
Yeah. Robinson bowls full. Sharma drives to mid-on.
Well, they put cover point behind square on the boundary. And you can see Hasib Hamid's gone to kind of a short third. I guess it's kind of a gully line. I just wonder if England are just going to bowl into his channel. a little bit more so to try and get him over to that offside and then firing that straight one. Maybe they think they can get him out LBW. Now they're going to go for a short mid-on.
Yeah, that mid-on, Chris Wokes, the orthodox mid-on, has just pushed a little bit wider. Allen catching just next to Pujara at the non-striker's end, and Asif Hamid is shifting across from point to mid-wicket. Straight as well, so looking to try and target the pads here as Robinson ambles in on an angle, bowls good length delivery that Rohit Sharma blocks nicely to the offside.
Isha, I'd just like to see something. I know we've seen a few differences in the field being set. I'd just like to see something different. Why not try a few around the wicket? Just change the angle. Why not for an over or two go short with a third on the boundary, 3 fielders out on the onside, a short leg. Just try something. Because at the minute, the 53.3 overs that India have batted have looked so comfortable. They've got to 149 for 1.
As Robinson bowls full, and Sharma again just blocks the ball, but this time a little bit straighter.
And the movement isn't there. You know, it's not suddenly going to start hooping at this stage. So England have to start creating angles and just asking a question or two. I mean, you've got Pujara who's done his ankle in. Get him ducking and weaving a few. You've got Rohit Sharma who's had the physio out there. I don't know what's wrong with Rohit, but again, get him ducking and weaving just to see. Get it high. Even get called for a wide, it's not a problem. Just try something different.
Robinson bowls another good length delivery that is played back beautifully, but hits the stumps. Lovely balance from Rohit Sharma. He is looking very, very good. His elegant best. From 62. That breeze picking up, flags blowing in the distance.
Saw Greg Wallace downstairs. That's the chef.
Oh yeah.
He was in good
Give
form.
you any tips?
Well.
Sharma backing across, inside edge, down to the fine leg boundary. Has gone in between the stumps and Rohit Sharma as it finds the rope, and Ollie Robinson, hands on hips. There's an applause from the crowd for that effort for Robinson and a clap from Joe Root, but Rohit Sharma remains, moves to 6,653 for 1.
Another good hour for India, convincingly winning the day so far. 3 hours into the day and just the 1 wicket for England. And that was a review. They did well to review that. India are just starting to not just get their noses in front, they're getting a little bit of a gallop in front.
Yeah, all the momentum with them at the moment. This is the first of 2 England matches we're bringing you today. Mentioned the women have been in action. Tonight at 7 o'clock you can hear commentary on the second T20 between England's women and New Zealand from Hove. It was absolutely thumping that first game. New Zealand were looking a little bit rusty, but 3 T20s and 5 one-day internationals that we'll be bringing you across the BBC. All live on BBC Radio, in preparation for that World Cup at the start of next year. And we'll have highlights later on the iPlayer, 7 o'clock BBC 2 for this test match, but also the women's game. As we're going to have a double change here. Michael Vaughan is going to slip out, and in will come Jonathan Agnew as the players are taking drinks at the moment. Rohit Sharma 66, Pujara on 39. He's come out with plenty of intent. It's looking rather ominous for England at the moment. Aggies.
It is, isn't it? They've just played so well, so calmly. And Pujara seems to be doing okay, despite having his ankle very heavily strapped. Every now and then you see a grimace, gritting his teeth as he runs up and down and so on. Rohit just looks to be in wonderful form. So much time, very casual, very easy. So England have got a lot on their minds here. Robinson's pace, I just saw him bowl a few there. 74 one ball was. I mean, they just do look, some of them, they are a bit burned out. Pitch behaving itself almost immaculate. There's a little streaky fall there off the last ball of that over. It's the occasional ball doing a little bit, but generally. Soft now at 54 overs old, this one. Not much going on, and a great opportunity deep for India just to bat on, and all the time that remains. They've got just under 4 hours of 3.5 take out tea and so on, so that could get them up to near 200, 180, 200 lead tonight if they keep playing as they are.
The only thing missing right now is a bit of sun, I guess. Apart from that, everything seems to be absolutely superb for batting. I mean, you've got 2 set batsmen out there. The bowlers, as you mentioned, look a little tired, and let's not forget, this is the 4th test match, especially someone like Anderson and Ollie Robinson. They've both played all these test matches, so they've already bowled quite a few overs so far this summer. So yeah, I mean, the pitch is again really, really good to bat on. So really good conditions, and end of the day, you still have to make use of them, and as so far so good as far as India is concerned.
One thing they could do, if they want to be really cruel to England but do the right thing also, is just milk Moeen a bit. Get Root having to put the field back and then thinking, I'm going to have to take him off and get another tired fast bowler back, get another spell into him. I think if they let Moeen to simply bowl from this end, they'll have missed a bit of a trick, because definitely Anderson and Robinson just look tired, and if they force Root to make the change. But see how Pujara's ankle is. He normally uses feet to Moeen, but doesn't seem too bad with it. If you missed our view from the boundary, by the way, with Chris Addison, who was a lovely guest, it's available as a podcast now on BBC Sounds. So if you missed that, lots of cricket talk, lots of the thick of it talk, and all sorts of things. So that was a delightful lunch break. 153 for 1, so 54 is the lead.
So on Ollie Robinson's performance in this innings so far compared with earlier in the series. In this match, he's got a lot less lateral movement than he has in the previous 3 tests, according to the ball tracking data.
Moeen starting up again, and Pujara takes one pace up the pitch, turns the ball to the leg side, go for a quick single. Burns throws it underarm to Bairstow, and they've made their ground. Do they give average speeds in spells and things there?
Well, I've got speeds by innings. I can get speeds in spells as well. He's down about a mile an hour on the last test. I don't know how significant that is, but much less movement, particularly in this second innings, both through the air and off the pitch.
In goes Moeen, bowls, and that's short, wide, put away by Rowett. There's a man out there at deep point who rushes round and keeps them down to 1 run. But I would imagine everyone's down by a bit from the last match, aren't they? Because the ball moved around quite a bit, and here it hasn't done. It's not the bowler's fault. It's like saying, 155 for 1. As Moeen swings his arm, tosses that up, and he almost yorked himself there. In fact, coming down the pitch, almost got himself in more trouble than had he stayed where he was. But it just plays the ball gently for Anderson to field. Moeen again with the floodlights still on, bowls. Another wonderful stroke off drive, which he seemed to have hit hard. But again, I was talking about the softness of the ball, and that Anderson was able to feel that easily at mid-off. It didn't go with any great pace at all. 155 for 1, the lead 56. Moeen bowls to Pujara, who just defends this time. On the front foot, Burns trots in and fields from mid-wicket.
So that's what Pujara does, isn't it? I mean, he's just waiting for that one-shot ball. He stepped out almost thrice now.
He tosses that right up, flicked firmly. Burns fields that acrobatically at mid-wicket, rolling over and over. He's missed a couple of catches in the slip, so he's got a bit to make up there in the outfield, but no one wants to drop a catch on purpose. And it's interesting lining up the background. I think it's worth making the point here that where Rory Burns was fielding, the line he was on at second slip was the same actually that Chris Woakes was on when he was at mid-on before lunch. And there was that one where Woakes didn't quite see the ball either. Both at the same line, mid-on or second slip, depending on the ends, both standing in the same place. There's a lot of colour actually from the crowd down there. You've got the sort of cerise shirts of the Bharat Army. That's all there in a very colourful background, and it's not easy to see a ball.
And we were looking at a few numbers as well, catching percentages, and obviously Oval as a venue is not very high on that list.
No, I'm not surprised. It's difficult. It always has been. The crowd is a particular height, and then so you've got the brickwork and so on around it as well. 155 for one. And Robinson from the far end is continuing, and he's driven square through the offside by Rohit Sharma, who will just walk a single, as Pujara does, coming down to this end as well with that heavily strapped ankle. It looked a nasty injury when he did it, but well, the physio kept him going, strapped him back up again.
Yeah, it's such an important part, the physios, aren't they? I mean, during my playing days as well, especially the fast bowlers, I mean, would be all strapped up. So, you know, before the game would start, you'd see on the physio table, everyone's lying around with strapped up ankles and knees and hamstrings.
156 for one. So tinkering to the field now because they've got a short mid-wicket and a shortish square leg just in front of square for the one that Pujara flicks into that direction. In comes Robertson again, rocking in, he bowls. And Pujara defends carefully. The ball trickles away up the pitch. We've got a beach ball now. I often see those at the Oval, but there's one down there over to our left-hand side, giving the spectators there alternative entertainment.
Yeah, as far as Pujara is concerned, you're enjoying Pujara 2.0, the new Pujara that we've seen last few innings?
Actually, yes, I am, because he has got the shots. And yes, he wasn't one that I'd necessarily go rushing out to watch. I mean, I admire his technique and his concentration. Here he is playing forward now, playing into the onside. But that ramp shot that he played, you know, it's all there, isn't it? It's in the locker. You just haven't seen them very often.
Yeah, Viru would have been, as in Sehwag would have been happy seeing that shot.
Wonderful shot.
But we talked a bit about his recent lack of form since the brilliant series he had in Australia in 2018-19. Since then, without a century and scoring at just over 2 and over on about 34 per 100 balls. Prior to that in his career, he'd gone at about 46, which is pretty decent for a top order player in Test cricket, particularly against spin.
2 slips waiting. Robinson's on his way. Bowls. Pujara walks into a defensive shot. Let's fielded it at mid-on.
It's very interesting, isn't it? If you look at him, his technique hasn't changed. It's just the mindset. And it's just amazing that if you have a positive mindset, invariably you're there early, you're behind the ball, your foot's in the right position, you know, technically you look sounder. But it's not that he's made any changes per se in his technique. It's just that mindset, that switch has just switched on now.
Robinson bowls to Pujara, who thinks about a single there, then stretches out his left arm to say no. But it's also the impact that then has on the bowler.
Right.
If you've got a batsman who you know is actually being busy and he's being positive in his thoughts, you're thinking, hang on a minute, perhaps I can't bowl this now, or it just takes away that bit of initiative from the bowler. He's got to think about what he's going to do. It's always easier to bowl a batsman who's got no interest in playing any shots at all. You can totally dictate terms then. Robinson bowls and Pujara covers up and plays a straight good length delivery, pushed away out towards mid-wicket. It's the end of the over, 156 for one.
Is that you've kind of seen him in the last couple of innings as well, Agus, that the intent to play shot, maybe his strike rate won't be as high as some of the others, but at least that intent, even when he's defending it.
Yeah, looking for singles like just then, doesn't he? Pushed and thought about a single, it wasn't there, but it brings the field in, doesn't it? And it makes the fielders think, hang on, be on toes here. And rather than just weighing anchor.
Yeah, it's really good to see. It's refreshing to see him, play those shots, because as you mentioned, it's not that he would never play those shots. I mean, till 2016-17, especially that cut shot, that was his kind of go-to shot against the seamers.
Rohit's on strike. There's a slip and a short leg, and Moeen, shaven-headed, bushy-bearded, moves in over the wicket. Bowls short, and Sharma's on the back foot, playing it away for a single. And to long on here, the man well back. And they're all crowded up on the balconies there. There are 3 balconies on the new stand, pressed up against the glass there. There's a railing they seem to be holding on to. Moeen's on his way, tossing that up. Pujara's down the pitch, flicks that away for a single. And moves to 41. And India now 59 runs in the lead. That top balcony is really high. It's up level with the pavilion roof. A fantastic view beyond our stand and over London. Rohit Sharma drives. A checked drive, really, is a push. Another single out to deep point. A wave starting up now as well. It is quite quiet. The crowd finding things to do. And beach ball's back. Oh, there's a steward trying to get it. Oh, he's got it. That's not going to go down very well. There's another one forced off the back foot. Out towards the cover it goes. He's walking off with a gleeful look on his face too, and he's passed it to a colleague. Yeah, a deliberate move there, a bit of a pincer movement by two stewards onto the beach ball, which has now been confiscated. And there's a plain-clothes steward sitting on a deck chair on the boundary edge who's now got the ball. Moeen bowls. It's played straight back at him by Rohit Sharma. So I don't think it's been punctured, which of course is what they do in Brisbane quite ruthlessly there. Get the ball under an arm, stab it, and that's it. I think he's keeping it for later. There's Moeen again. Bowls outside the off stump. That's cleverly dabbed away by Rohit Sharma down towards the beach ball and the steward. Won't go all the way. They'll get 3. No, just 2 actually. They're protecting Pujara's leg there. He'd have been running to the danger end. So, a couple more. 162 for 1. So India now 63 ahead. Barry O'Keefe has sent an email. I've got a 5th day dilemma. I want England to win, but I want to watch some live cricket on Monday. The longer India bat, the more chance of play on Monday, but the more likely England will lose. Yep. I feel your pain, Barry.
That's so true. If the game's going to today 5, then obviously India's on top then.
India will be favourites. However, you might see one of the most amazing run chases of all time here at the Oval.
And it's all set up for Jimmy Anderson's 100th not out, which
that would be
I slightly erroneously called yesterday.
Well, that would be spectacular, wouldn't it? And that would be something to savour. Jimmy Anderson walking off, probably 1 not out, possibly naught, for the 100th time. In comes Robinson, bowls, and that's turned away out to mid-wicket. And Pujara remains on 42. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We've given up trying to predict this game a long time ago.
There's a good chance that he still gets his 100th not out and India wins the game. There's a very good chance of that.
There is a chance of that also.
What, Jimmy Anderson getting up? Sorry, his 100th, not 100 not out.
100th not out, I said.
Well, he might get
easy, Andy.
He might get 100 not out. It's a very flat-looking pitch.
Not that flat.
Here comes Robinson, and that's played carefully by Pujara into the offside. Oh, there's every scenario. You could have a tie. That's what, 3rd in Test history?
Yeah, it's just been that's why they call, was it Test cricket, the game of infinite possibility.
Barry, you could have anything and everything. Who knows? 162 for 1. Moving his field around again. He's got these 2 short mid wickets there. Robinson coming down that well-worn track now. Bowls and Pujara. I guess one that bounces a bit there. That surprised him. And he took his bottom hand off the bat handle. Played the ball to mid wicket. Looked a bit startled. Bit of gardening called for now. As a result of that, Joe Root's calling for the short leg. So he's tossing the helmet to Hamid, who's coming in there from the squarer of those 2 short men at mid-wicket. So he's not going very close. He's going a couple of pitches away from Pujara, but he's seen him there now. And Robinson wheels round in the distance. Stewards on the move in the Bedser stand. As he bowls, Pujara drives at. It's fielded at mid-on by Chris Wokes. What's happening up there? I don't think there's a recalcitrant member to remove or anything, but one or 2 there in their orange jackets are moving in, are going up and down. Maybe it's a changing, do you call it a changing of the stewards? I don't know, it's like a changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace. I think that's what's happening actually. The formation there is the same, but they just got different personnel. Yeah, it's change of shift. 162 for 1. Robinson bowls, flicked away just past that short leg fieldsman, picked up at mid-wicket.
Yeah, the intent that we were talking about last couple of deliveries were a great example of that, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, 2-3 innings ago it would be Pujara dead defending those deliveries, but at least he's looking to score runs. Yeah, I mean, he's had just one coach as his dad, Arvind Pujara, since childhood. So hopefully he's had a chat with his dad before the last Test match, and maybe that's changed things for him.
Robinson runs in again. Pujara flicks out firmly, but straight to the fielder to end the run. And the over. Is that Sam Curran, who's done a run all the way around the boundary edge there? I think it is. He's wearing the yellow smock, just to make sure that the stewards are aware that he's not a streaker or anything like that. And so his run around there delivered something to Moeen Ali. He's come all the way down to this end of the ground, getting in good hand actually on his home ground, of course. But rushing around the boundary edge, he's dropping something off. A couple of drinks, I think, there for.
You reckon there was a message there as well?
Might have been. Probably.
Oh, on the television there,
Now.
see a few Indians in their Gujarati attire.
Now this is very interesting. In that, what are they actually doing? That's Gujarati attire,
That's
and they've got the
Gujarati.
sticks.
Dandiya. Call that the dandiya.
We'd call that Morris dancing in our country. We're doing it with the big sticks, and they were doing it with the little sticks. So what's that called?
It's called the dandiya. It's they do it. I mean, during a festival season, it's called the Dashera. During Dashera, we have 10 days of festivities in the eastern part of the country. For Bengalis, we call it the Durga Puja. It's the Dashera up north, and in the western part of the country where Gujarat is, the western side. Yeah, and you have a Gujarati batsman out there. Pujara is from Gujarat. I mean, he plays his first-class cricket for Saurashtra, which is obviously Rajkot, part of Gujarat. Yeah, and so yeah, they're enjoying.
Beautiful attire. Wow, they've got all the gear on. Yeah. But they had little sticks that they were touching each other with, weren't they? Whereas the Morris dancers here have rather larger ones. Anderson's back, so Moeen is off. And Rohit Sharma moves into line and plays him to mid-wicket. So Moeen's spell there wasn't very long.
Just the 4 overs for 15 runs. They rather milked him. A few balls rather short pushed through the covers. The maiden by Robinson in the last over, and the 58th over of the innings, the first maiden since the 35th over, which was just after Rahul was out.
Well, there's already some overs in Jimmy Anderson's boots. He's coming on now with just over 40 minutes to go until the tea break. Indian balcony looking rather more relaxed now. So sitting there and seeing a chat.
Bangalore boys, KL Rahul and Prasidh Krishna, who's obviously before this Test match was included in the squad. Seam bowler from Bangalore.
Anderson bowls and it's played easily by Rohit up to cover point where it's fielded by Hamid. And there's no run. We've got another beach ball now. I've got 2 on the right hand side, so I don't know if they're friendlier stewards over there. So they don't seem too perturbed by it anyway. Bright orange one, and then the usual multicoloured striped one. Actually, it's in Indian colours really, that one. 162 for 1. Anderson. Still see the shadows of the floodlights there at his feet. And he bowls, and Sharma flicks that away out to mid-wicket. Straight to the man there. And there's no run. There's lead building slowly and steadily. 63 now.
I've been noticing this for a while now. Almost every time he finishes bowling, Anderson reaches for his left hamstring.
Oh, I'll have a look.
Yeah. Even the spell before this, in the first spell in the morning.
So a big red stripe down the right side of his trousers. Running in now, over the wicket. Bowls outside the off stump, is pushed away out to cover. Feels it at mid-off. Running his hand through his hair. I think he's fiddling with it there at any rate. Oh, hang on. I wonder if he's got one of those too big grip bandages under his trousers there that he adjusts on his around his left leg. I think if you saw Jimmy's body without his white shirts and trousers on, there'd be strappings and tape and all sorts, virtually covering his whole torso, I would imagine, and the rest of his body as well. There's a good ball. Beating Rohit Sharma outside the off stump. Pushing at it. Now that's got the crowd going. Say, come on, Jimmy. Let's have something. Come on. It's all been a bit flat, they're saying. It's amazing because the crowd just sit and wait quietly. They're waiting. It's waiting. They're there. They are definitely there. They might be tinkering with a beach ball or just sitting back and having a beer or something, but just take something like that just to say, hey, we are here, you know. 162 for 1. Anderson once more moves in, bowls, and Rohit flicks him away into the leg side. Moeen appears from the shadows of the Bedser stand. Tosses the ball back. That's the end of that over. And so we've got 40 minutes exactly to go until the tea break, which I think will contain that well-known quiz hosted by Dan Norcross and of course Andy as well. Thoughts from you, Deep, and then Dan's coming in.
Thank you. And you just scared me. Quiz, really? I hope I have got nothing to do with that. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, because the last thing I want to be part of is a quiz or something. I'm terrible.
We will grill you, Deep.
No, please, no, Andy. Dinner's on me, Andy. Yeah, but yeah, it's really good going so far. Again, another big box tick for India. The first hour in this session.
Hour and 20.
Hour and 20,
yes.
Yeah, that's right, Dan.
They've been going really well. Now, I am going to quiz you on something. I think, have I just met Shardul Thakur's brother, Sunny? Are you familiar with Shardul Thakur's family at all?
Not
He's
really.
a very proud man.
I'm
Sunny,
sure he would be.
who is here to watch the game. He's very proud of his brother's exploits, certainly in the first innings. Charming fellow. And there's a general air of comfort among the Indian fans at the moment as Moeen Ali has switched ends to the pavilion end and is defending off the back foot. Rohit Sharma into the offside. Bairstow trots round to collect the ball. 163 for 1.
Maybe that's the reason Sam Curran came over with those couple of bottles of water. The idea was to pass on that message to change ends, I guess. Yeah, to get Anderson from this end.
Switcheroo. Moeen in again. Coming towards us, and this is hit aerially out through extra cover for 4. A lovely shot. Momentarily, I wondered if that was a bit too close to Anderson at wide mid-off, but no. Rohit used his feet really well, got to the pitch of the ball and found that massive gap, as it is, between backward point and wide mid-off. And it's thudded into the boundary sponge in front of the groundsman's hut. 4 more. India are piling on the pain for England as this pitch has eased noticeably over the last couple of days, despite the overheads that seem to be favourable. As Moeen is in again, and that's clipped away by Rohit, but he can't beat the field of Malan just in front of square on the offside. No, it's not Malan, I'm sorry, that's Pope. And there's no run. Mind you, the overheads, I mean, I'm starting to think that overheads are a bit of a myth. As Moeen is in again, and Rohit goes back and punches off the back foot out to the sweeper on the offside boundary. 1 more to the total, 168 for 1. Rohit to 78 now. I mean, you will remember at Headingley, on the 3rd day, the overheads were very favourable, a bit like this, gloomy, grey, a little cooler perhaps than this. The following day the sun was out, we all arrived and said, ooh, perfect for batting. And India lost 8 wickets in an hour and a half. So what do we know of overheads? Who only overheads know? As Moeen is in, forward comes Pujaran, plays it into the onside, there's no run.
But also the surface, I mean, this has been really flat, isn't it? I mean, it's been like a proper oval surface so far.
It certainly has, the last day and a half or so. As Moeen is in, down the wicket comes Pujara, uses his feet a lot, and he plays that up to mid-on. There is no run. I believe he uses his feet to the spinners more than any other person in the CricViz database. It's like 30% of the balls he faces from spinners.
I think it's second behind Michael Clark. Goes back to about 2006. Something we picked up on earlier in the series. His average on balls when he's come down the wicket to spinners is 220.
Wow.
He's only been out 4 times, having come down the wicket over 1,000 times in the database.
So is your recommendation he does it to every ball?
Well, maybe that's why it works, because he's a bit selective with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him, there's a set template. He actually steps out not to hit a big shot, just steps out to get the bowler off that area, because his boundary scoring shots against spin is off the back foot.
Rohit's facing up the first ball of a new over from Anderson, and Anderson bowls full straight. And there's this very specific field to Rohit, which you would have talked about, but I'll just reiterate, we've got this very straight, short mid-on. There's a slightly wider mid-on and a catching mid-wicket, because Rohit does have a little bit of bottom hand. He does hit the ball occasionally aerially in that area. Now, what has tended to happen since this change is that actually he's taken that bottom hand out of it. It's adjusted well, but it's just made him do a little bit of thinking here. As Anderson is into him again with 2 widely spaced slips. And he gets a thick inside edge driving at this. It's round about off stump. He's going to get a couple of runs as it squirts away. Almost exactly square of the wicket. Moeen Ali runs from long leg to field. 2 more to the total, 170 for 1.
That's 3,000 runs in Test cricket for Rohit Sharma. An average of 46.8. It's his 43rd Test and his 74th innings.
Well, he's looked in pretty good nick here in England, where other batters at the top of the order have struggled.
Absolutely, and that's what we were talking about. I mean, who would have thought the most successful partnership would be the opening partnership for India in England?
Anderson into Rohit again, who comes forward in that languid defence, pushes into the offside, and there is no run. And it's a sort of happy accident in a way, isn't it? Because KL Rahul, I don't think, was expected to open in that first match.
Absolutely.
So often happens, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He was being looked as more of a middle order batter, to be honest. And you had a couple of other options before him. Obviously, Shubman Gill, who was ruled out before the series started, and then Mayank Agarwal a couple of days before the first Test match.
Anderson turns and runs in to Rohit. Rohit forward in defence. The ball's going right out of the middle of the bat. It goes straight to that short mid-on. It's very much like the mid-on that Michael Vaughan positioned for Matthew Hayden. Whether the ball actually goes there in the air is almost less important than what it makes Rohit think about what he's got to do.
And it has gone in the air in that direction at least a couple of times.
Before they had the fielder.
Before they had the fielder.
As is so often the way. And the short mid-wicket as well, the catching mid-wicket, Malan. So Anderson's in to Rohit, who comes just half a pace forward and defends, back up the wicket. His forward press has been solid today.
And going back to that opener thing, and when Shubman was ruled out, the team management, they had one opener in the backup in Abhimanyu Ishwaran. They actually asked for 2 more openers. Prithvi Shaw, who came up, and then Devdutt Padikkal. Both of them were in Sri Lanka playing the white ball series. They wanted both of them to come over.
Padikkal would have been an interesting selection, wouldn't he? Explosive in the IPL. Anderson in, and Rohit just gets tall and defends to that short mid-on. That is the end of the over. India still going strong, 170 for 1. 61 overs have been bowled. A new ball will be available to England, but not for quite a while. What are we, 33 minutes until tea? So probably the way England's over rate has been, probably not till around about 5 o'clock. So they've got to find a way stemming the runs, because at the moment there's no sign of a wicket coming. See, Paul Farbrace and Ashley Giles are in the house, chatting away earnestly. Moeen Ali's going to continue. He's got a silly point in for Pujara. Wide mid-on, short mid-wicket. And Pujara comes down the wicket and finds a gap between square leg and Rory Burns at short mid-wicket, gets a single. So Ollie Pope hands the ball to his Surrey teammate. 1 more to the total, 171 for 1. There's a deep mid-wicket for Rohit Sharma. Now a slight change to field. Forward short leg comes in for Sharma, and long on goes back. And no, Haseeb Hameed has moved from forward short leg to silly bit off, really. Not quite a silly point, it's a little bit further advanced. That's a beautiful sweep from Rohit, and he's got hold of that really well. Clatters it through backward square leg for 4. Was on the pads, he got down to it, swept it on length and line. So it was drifting slightly down the leg side, and it came right out of the meat of the bat. 175 for 1. Rohit to 84 now. It was in the air for a while.
Yeah, that's a safe shot. I mean, there's no one behind square. The only fielder on the deep is deep mid-wicket, so there's open areas there if he wants to play it.
Moeen in. It's left alone outside the off-stump. There's no run. Haseeb Hameed's probably thinking that was one of the luckier moves from forward short leg to silly point the ball before.
Rohit is a reluctant sweeper. I mean, doesn't really play that sweep shot very often, and yeah.
Now he's moving. This is marvellous. Haseeb Bazimid's now at forward, short leg. Down the wicket comes Rohit and clips it to Rory Burns at short mid-wicket. There's no run. Andy.
Now Rohit's highest score outside Asia. Previously the 83 that he made at Lord's.
It's having a good series. Slip is in. Joe Root at slip, forward short leg. Haseeb Hameed. Moeen into Rohit. Rohit just tabs this fine. A clever little shot. It's running away towards the deep fine leg boundary, and it's going to make it all the way there. That's a lovely, delicate shot from Rohit. He's a big man, but he's got a wonderful, deft touch. With that, he moves to 88, and the score 179 for 1. That's his second 4 in this over.
Talking about pacing innings and constructing and building innings, there's a really good example. He's in his 80s, suddenly sees Moeen Ali bowling that outside off stump line, nobody there behind square on the leg side, opportunity to get some quick runs and get into the 90s. And this is like really good test match batting.
It's a real problem for Root as well now, because he really wanted Moeen to dry up runs at one end as Rohit thinks about advancing and then stops himself and defends a ball that was flatter and shorter. Back to the bowler, there's no run. Moeen, 8 overs, none for 35. He's not looked threatening. He's not really got a great deal of purchase since his first over. And if Root can't rely on him to keep an end up, then can't rotate the seamers as he's trying to keep them fresh enough for when a new ball comes. Andy.
Well, both of these batsmen have excellent records against Moeen Ali in Test cricket. Rohit Sharma's now scored 120 for once out against Moeen at a strike grade of 74 per 100 balls. Pujara 188 for 2 dismissals against Moeen, going at just around about 52 per 100 balls.
I wonder if Root might try a couple of overs of himself, actually. It's 179 for 1 is a score, a lead of 80. Only 1 wicket down, only the 1 wicket to fall today. Anderson took it when KL Rahul was given out on review. A thin edge, moderately controversial. For my money, I think he did get a little outside edge on it, a little tickle through to the keeper. He was given out either way by the third umpire. That's the only wicket to have fallen. And that was the score on 83. Anderson starts a new over. It's his dab nicely by Pujara. Down to the deep third boundary. It's being pursued by Haseeb Hameed. He's going to put the dive in, and he does. Haul it back. They're going to come back for 3. Good running from this pair, especially given Pujara had that slight awkwardness when he went over on his ankle about an hour and a bit ago. He's not comfortable, but he's toughing it out. 182 for 1. The partnership to 99. Now I can announce that we have got our contestants for Silly Pointless during the tea interval. Very delighted to say. John Brownhill, who plays for the Ashley Cricket Club. More of him in a moment. I'm just whetting your appetite, Ebony Rainford Brent.
I'm listening, I'm ready.
Anderson into Rohit, who defends gloriously off the front foot. It says, if we were loving Haseeb Hameed's forward defensives at Headingley, well, Rohit's are just as elegant, if not more so. So John Brownhill, he plays for Ashley Cricket Club. He's played for the team for over 20 years. He's the opening batsman and thinks he may be able to do better than the current England openers. He's also captain of the Sunday team. That is dedication. I like this a lot. But I like him no less than Neil Badmin, a man missing a syllable. Literally B-A-D-M-I-N. As Anderson is in, it's flicked away to mid-on, and there's no run. It's pretty much how I run my affairs. Badmin. Used to play for Yelverton Bohemians Cricket Club in Devon. He was once involved in a hat-trick. Unfortunately, he was the batsman. He didn't see the ball that clattered into his stumps.
Oh.
He played in the second and third 11s and has been listening to TMS since the mid-80s.
Okay, so he's going to be... my money's on him.
Your money's on Badmin?
Yeah.
Badmin against Brownhill?
My money is on Badmin.
They sound to me like triathletes.
You think?
Do you know what I mean? They sound a bit like that. Here's Anderson, starts in again. That's flicked away nicely by Rohit. Down to the deep square leg boundary, but Moeen will cut it off. They'll come back for a couple, but that will bring up the 100 partnership. 101 these two have put on, Andy.
101 partnership in 28.4 overs.
It's been punishing stuff for England. You'd be forgiven for thinking, if you just arrived and you looked around the ground, you think these are good conditions to bowl in, but The ball has barely deviated. Occasionally the ball's beaten the bat, but since lunch, Rohit and Pujara have constructed a fabulous partnership that's got their side well on top. India leading now by 85, still with 9 wickets in hand. As Anderson is into Rohit. Rohit pulls again. Gloriously, one leg in the air, out towards deep mid-wicket for 4 more. He goes to 94. That was a lovely shot. If you're familiar with Gordon Greenwich back in the 70s and 80s, just this like one leg off the ground, imperious flick. Love a shot like that.
It's quite controlled, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't a, he kind of made a decision late and then just gave it a bit of flourish, got the hand underneath. Dangerous signs for England. That's one thing I was thinking, actually. If Rohit Sharma gets his first 100 outside of India, then relaxes in the sense of he could dominate like we saw him do in the winter. Remember when he bullied England in that second test, I think it was?
Anderson starts into him. He's into the 90s now, Rohit. He's on 94 and he lets a ball outside the off stump go through low to Bairstow. End of the 63rd over. India, that scoring rate now just below 3 and over, a 188 for 1. Rohit 94, Pujara 46. And it's punishing stuff for England. They had a good grip on the game on the first day and they've gradually let it slip as the pitch has eased. It's been tough for the bowlers, no doubt about it.
They look tired as well. It's been a lot of overs over the summer.
Well, I was going to ask, do you think this is where, Anderson and Overton, Anderson and Robinson are in this sort of fabled red zone where these 4 matches have come in 5 weeks and England have felt they haven't been able to give either Anderson or Robinson a break, and Robinson, I would say for the first time in his test career, has just looked a little short of nip.
Yeah, it looks like it's floating out of his hand rather than when he was kind of hitting it into the surface a bit more, and there was a bit more whip in the action. I think definitely long summer.
Pujara faces up to start a new over from Moeen. It's clipped away into the onside but can't beat the field. It's a square leg, there's no run.
Yeah, and also it's, you can't afford to rest someone like Jimmy at the moment. When you're 1-1 in the series, you can't say have the break and come back for the final.
Here's Moeen. It's tossed up and driven by Pujara, but without timing to Anderson at mid-off. There's no run. I mean, I suppose the other option, because England's bowling resources are really depleted without Broad and
Archer.
Stokes and Archer and Stone. Moeen in, flatter. And does a huge appeal for a catch at forward point. Now Moeen's come to talk to Root. He came on the front foot there, did Pujara. Pushed at it, and they are going to review. Now then, Hasib Hamid took a relatively sharp catch. The ball ballooned in the air.
To the umpire to director, we have a
Pujara doesn't look
catch. On-field decision is not out. It's a fair
overly concerned, but
Moeen
there's a bit of bounce.
put in a big sell.
He did, didn't he? He believed in it. Let's
did.
take a look at the replay here. It's a bit of bounce. Can't see from this. Oh, now then.
Just rock and roll that. It's just out the frame, Mark. Have you got anything else, please, from that angle before we go to Ultra Edge?
We're going to need to see Ultra Edge here. This is more like it.
Just Ultra Edge, okay. Throw that through, please.
Well, the ball is nowhere near the gloves.
Okay, just roll through. Okay, there's no bat involved. I'm just going to check it's not out caught, so I'm going to check the LBW, please. Reverts back to not out.
So the ball bounced off the knee roll and it bounced up in the air, giving perhaps an illusion to Moeen that it had come off the glove, but it got nowhere near the glove.
Outside and missing the wickets.
And
there's the original decision of not out.
There was no danger of an LBW at all because it was a long way outside the off stump. And it just didn't feel right in real time, did it?
Joe Root got sold down the river on that one. There was nothing going for it, really.
Nothing going for it.
Big front pad, nothing for the LBW.
So, after all that, Moeen's in again, and Pujara just turns a ball from off stump, back of the square on the onside for a single. Pope runs to his right to field. One more to the total, 189 for 1. England's reviewing has not been great. They tried to get Pujara off Moeen with when he didn't play a shot, padding up. And I suppose they were excited more than anything else by the fact that the ball came off the pad and was caught at City mid-off. And that seemed to do it for Root and Moeen, but in real time it didn't feel right. And Wasn't right. Great decision from the umpire. Moeen in again to Rohit. Comes down a wicket and splatters this into the pavilion for 6. What a mighty shot that was, and with it he brings up a quite fantastic 100. What a way to get there. His first 100 outside India. He came dancing down the wicket and clattered it into the pavilion. He raises his bat now to the changing rooms, to the Indian changing room, and now he's waving it around to the Indian supporters who are away at the OCS stand, the JM Fin stand down below us. It has been a terrific innings full of mellifluous, languid shots, and then that shot of pure authority. What nerve to do it when you're on 94. Dance down the wicket and deposit the ball into the members in the pavilion end. He gets a well-deserved round of applause. 12 fours and a 6 in that knock, and it has been superb from Rohit Sharma. Moeen's into him again. He comes forward in perfect watchful defence, plays it back to Moeen Ali. What a knock. India at the end of the over, 195 for 1. Rohit has exactly 100. Andy Zoltzman will talk you through the details of that innings, and then it will be Simon Mann.
Yeah, as you said, 204 balls with that 1 6 and 12 fours, his 8th Test 100 in all, and the first, as you said, outside India, the slowest in terms of balls faced at 204 balls. 6 of the previous 7 have been in 160 or fewer. But look at the pace of his innings. He reaches 50 off 145 balls, just 59 more balls to reach 3 figures. And when he hit that 6, he'd hit 27 off the last 20 he's faced in an ominous acceleration.
I think that was the point I was going to pick up on, is clearly he's applied himself. It's tricky conditions outside of England. He talks about in the media always never quite feeling in, and so he's had to rein it in and try and build. I think that's what makes this one pretty impressive.
Should point out he was dropped on 6 and 31 and had that curious half chance that Woakes didn't see, but could have been an opportunity had he seen it on 36. So luck early on, but has taken advantage of that luck.
Well, he's been magnificent. And how is Rory Burns feeling? It's a horrible feeling for a fielder when you see a batter go on and make 100 after you've dropped him twice. But it's the game, and everyone who's played it has dropped a catch. Even you, Ebony.
Speak for yourself. I'm joking with dollies.
Going into bowl to Pujara. Pujara solidly forward, playing back down the pitch, and Anderson picks up, and there is no run. And India, this partnership of 112 for the second wicket, are moving into a position of strength in this game. Potential strength, really taking a firm grip on the match. So what's the lead now? It is 96, 9 wickets in hand, bags of time left in the game. What an opportunity they have conjured for themselves from the depths of 127 for 7, and also nearly 100 behind on first innings. Anderson goes in, bowls to Pujara. Pujara plays up towards mid-on, and there's no run. Anderson bowling straight here. He's got 2 short mid-wickets and a mid-on. He's down to a slip and a gully, 3 saving 1 on the offside. It's not quite like the field he bowled to in the UAE, and Pakistan made 500 and odd on that really flat surface in Abu Dhabi. He really did have an umbrella field. There's a remarkable photograph of it, about 4 on the leg side short and about 4 on the offside short. Incredible. Anyway, not quite that, but it's sort of moving towards that territory. Anderson bowls to Pujara, and Pujara's in behind that, playing defensively up the offside of the pitch, and there is no run. It's still overcast. The sunshine that we were promised earlier has not materialised. I think this might be what we're going to get for the rest of the day now. So light might become an issue, which might limit India's scoring on this third day. So very few wickets down into a 4th day, and then possibly into a 5th day. The way that, I mean, it's been a strange game, isn't it? It's been quick, slow. It's really decelerated. This is Anderson going into bowl to Pujara. He's playing defensively up towards mid-on. Woakes comes in to pick up.
Moment of the match for me is still Thakur. You think about, you go back all the way to, what was that, day 1, late in the day, where we thought they're going to roll him like they did before, 78 all out, England are going to boss this game. I don't know, how many did he make in the end? But
Tucker?
Yeah, how many did he make?
He made 57.
In how many balls?
36 balls, 3 6s, 7 4s.
How that's turned this whole, because got India to a position they could work towards getting back to parity.
Yeah, got India back in the game, lifted them. Here is Anderson bowling, and Pujara allows that to come to him and tries to run it down through the slip cord, and actually plays it straight to Burns, who's fielding in a gully position or fifth slip position. Pitch is slow, not much there for the bowlers now. Every now and again one goes past the outside edge, and it actually is sort of turning into the sort of match at the Oval we expect, whereas the start of the game was unusual over conditions, really.
Yeah. Quite wet out there. It was a little bit.
195 for one. Anderson bowls, and Pujara covers up into the offside. Hamid to his right to pick up, and there is no run. So another over ticks by, whereas the new ball is available in 15 overs time. In terms of workloads for the England bowlers, and who might shoulder some more of the burden between now and the new ball. Anderson's bowled 17, Robinson 16, Wokes 15, Overton only 7. 7 overs, 0 for 27. 6 wickets at Headingley, but in this game it's not quite worked for him. And Moeen Ali 9 overs, 0 for 42 as well.
Yeah, it's not easy picking. One thing I was going to say just a moment ago is what I think has been really impressive about India, and I say actually this particular batting innings for me, is how both Pujara and Rohit Sharma have almost had to go at opposites to their natural. So what I mean by that is Rohit Sharma likes to be attacking, and he's just really in this series, and especially today, reined in, whereas Pujara was up against it and has actually been positive, and you look at his strike rate.
It's a leg slip in. Moeen bowls to Rohit, goes back and flicks it into the leg side, picked up by Burns at mid-wicket, and there is no run.
It takes a lot of character to almost go against your complete opposite to try and get your team a foundation in the game.
Moeen tries again. Bowls one to Rohit. He pads up to, and Moeen appeals for LBW. England have been in that territory before where they've reviewed one like that, but not this time. 2 terrible reviews for England, I thought. Really poor reviews. The one before lunch, it was so far outside the off stump. The umpire was never going to give it out because you're guessing too much, but it just, all the angles were wrong. And then the one at Silly Point just now, Moeen bowls, Rohit comes down the pitch a fraction, turns it quietly towards Burns at straight mid-wicket, and there's no run. So England down to 1 review. Just seeing that LBW shout against Rohit. It's similar to the one before lunch. It does turn back in, but it's going to miss off stump because he's so far out with his pad. Moeen slings that one down. Rohit goes back and clips it away, guides it away. Backward a square on the onside for a single. 196 for one. You can hear the
drums
are
kicking in.
India supporters. There's actually an India supporter there with, it looks like his daughter sitting on the drum while he bangs it in a pink shirt, camouflage cap down there in the stand. Here's Pujara flicking hard into the onside to mid-wicket, straight to Burns. And there is no run. That knot of India supporters.
The Barrett Army down there.
Yeah, to our right-hand side in the JM Finn stand. It's been re-sponsored. Moeen bowls, and Rohit offers a huge pad at that one to a ball wide of off stump. And this time there is no appeal from Moeen Ali. So 196 for one. The lead is 97 for India. And if you do just project ahead, you can see a situation sometime tomorrow where India might be, well, at least 300 plus on, possibly even more than that, a lot more than that, if someone like Pant gets going.
That's what I was thinking, is Virat Kohli's again due some more runs, I would have thought, and would fancy getting in and sticking in. If they make that shift, possibly in the order we talked, Jadeja came up quite high, maybe Rahane, Jadeja, then Pant having some fun. There's a lot of runs available.
Yeah.
Just on Rohit Sharma outside Asia, has shown some improvement. This is his 21st test outside Asia. He's played 22 on his home continent. His first 13 tests up to the 6th of December 2018, averaged 23. In the 8 tests since then, including this one, averaging 46 with this 104 other 50s. So it is something that most of those tests have been this year. Had a couple of good innings in Australia, not massive ones, but quite influential ones in that series, and has worked doggedly in this series.
Yeah, there's that split, wasn't there, between home and away, that average before the start of the series. But he's had a good time here. He's really worked hard. I mean, that's the thing that's been noticeable. You mentioned it, Abby, just reining himself in. We think of him as a fluent, free-scoring, attacking player. I mean, that brilliant innings he played in Chennai, the first innings of the second test. Wonderful innings on the first
dominated,
day.
didn't he? He just took it to England.
161 from, I think, about 204 balls, something like that. Here is Woakes back into the attack. Bowls full. It's turned away into the onside by Rohit towards short mid-on. England have a short mid-on in. There's more on the Bharat Army. You go to the BBC Sport website and app, by the way, go to the cricket section, you'll find it amongst the fans' tales that you find if you scroll down. Just looking back at Rohit in Chennai, I've got it somewhere in my book, but it was something like 161 off 204
Just help
balls.
him out, Andy. Use the technology.
Here's Woakes bowling down the leg side, tries to flick it away and misses. 161 off 231 balls.
Very
there we
good,
are.
Simon.
I think a pen and paper does work sometimes.
And in fact, he's had at least double figures in every innings since then. They've been very consistent.
Yeah, and the other thing about that innings, 161 out of 248 when he was dismissed. Brilliant innings.
He also read the conditions, that he knew what was coming, and just thought, get us ahead of the game in that first innings.
Yeah, and I've written down here 7th 100 all at home. But now he's got one away, and a really crucial one as well at such an important time. Woakes bowls to Rohit, who's back in defence, playing it up the pitch, and Woakes fields in his follow through. And we felt someone was going to get 100 in this match, and whoever did might well be on the winning side. That was the sort of the feeling about it. But I mean, who knows? I mean, we might see a few more from here. The pitch is benign, but is it a surface on which a team could chase 330, say? I don't know. Here's Woakes bowling, and Rohit plays defensively back up the onside of the pitch again. That short mid-on fielder stops it, and there is no run.
Do you think India would give England a sniff? Let's say they...
No, but they could be bowled out, couldn't they? They could be bowled out for 430, leaving England.
Yeah, but I was going to say,
win.
if India are batting nicely and they got to a position they would dominate, do you think they would leave a little bit, make a game of it? Or you think we're just going to be in a situation, they'll be bowled out?
Woakes to Rohit. Rohit turns into the onside towards mid-wicket, and there's no run.
I mean, they've lost one wicket today, and they have so much batting to come.
It depends what you mean by make a game of it.
So all I mean is, how many overs would they want to bowl? If you want to win this, how many overs do you on a flat wicket? This is my point. On a flat wicket, you need enough overs to bowl out a side to get 10 wickets.
Do you think most sides these days would be quite confident of bowling the opposition out in a day? So they'd want a day, wouldn't they? But they would. I think they would be in a position to. Here is Woakes bowling. Forward goes Rohit playing up the onside of the pitch. And there's no run. I mean, we shouldn't project ahead too far, because suddenly the game can turn around with 2 or 3 quick wickets.
I was just looking at this wicket a day, and you would have thought, where are we now? Halfway through, or on the way to the next session, you would have thought by now, if England would have been confident this morning, they'd have had at least 3 or 4, right? So I'm just thinking how flat this wicket is. You need a bit of time. If you want to win, you might need some overs.
Well, just an update on the sort of breakdown of this game, the 2 phases it's had. India's first innings, and then England reaching 62 for 5. At that point, 253 runs for 15 wickets. Since then, 424 runs for 6 wickets.
Yeah, I agree with you. Of course, you want time, but I mean,
you might need it. All I mean is, I think you need that session, possibly the final session of the day.
Well, if you think if India's still batting in a day's time, so coming up to tea on the penultimate day, Moeen goes in and bowls, and Pujara forces that back down the pitch, and Moeen picks up. You'd expect them to have another 300 runs, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So that's 400 ahead.
Then
so that's
you back yourself.
Moeen bowls, Pujara down the pitch, playing defensively into the offside, and you can then bat in a little bit into the final session and whack it as well, and suddenly amazing how runs come so quickly if you're on the attack, if they've got the wickets in hand, of course. England will be a very tired bowling team by then if they're still in the field in a day's time. Pujara comes down the pitch and then offers the pad. It balloons in the air to Hamid at Silly Point, who takes the catch.
Where's Winviz now, do you think?
Oh, Winviz is something like, the last I heard was India 65%,
Oh, really?
England 17%, and the draw sort of
2%.
roughly about the same. No, I think draw's coming back in, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because of the conditions, yeah.
Well, and the fact that India are probably going to bat long here and take quite a bit of time out of the game. The draw starts to go out again if India lose wickets. 196 for 1. Here is Moeen bowling and flicked away nicely by Pujara towards deepish mid-wicket. Overton comes in from notionally outside the circle, can't prevent the single. He's 2/3 of the way back there on the leg side. 197 for 1. And if we did lose, say, an hour tonight for bad light, which is not impossible, then the draw would come in a bit more, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Take some time out of the game, and India would would have to bat deep into tomorrow. So effectively they're 98 for 1 at the moment, coming up to tea on the third day. Moeen bowls, Rohit plays defensively into the offside, and there's no run. It seems inconceivable this game will finish in a draw, though, doesn't it? I mean, from what happened early in the game, and things can happen quickly back end and batting last and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, let's not forget that final day at Lord's.
Exactly. You've got to remember it's England batting last.
Yeah.
And India have had 2 days rest. And Moeen bowls, and Rohit eases this up towards long on, and they're through for a single. And we're at the stage of the game now, at the end of the over, 198 for 1, where England sort of slightly regretting everything happened so quickly at the start of the game. It shows the game of cricket can turn quickly, though. So it feels at the moment as if it's set on a particular course, but that can change.
I think it's the main thing is the wicket. It's the wicket, isn't it? And also the fact that they were yesterday looking at that ball, putting it through the gauge, and the umpire said no, and they were asking for that after a few overs, which tells you that they knew there was nothing happening for them.
Yeah, I mean, England will say, well, last Saturday we took 8 for 63 at Headingley on a sunny day. So it shows you how quickly you get 1 or 2, you get on a roll against a side that's a bit short of confidence. But of course, this partnership, or these two partnerships, will give such a huge lift to that dressing room. So India were 99 behind on first innings. They are now 99 ahead. Wokes bowls, last over before tea. Turned away by Rohit Sharma for a single. Make that 100 in the bank for India. 199 for 1. At lunchtime they were 108 for 1. So it looks as if it's going to be an unblemished session. And one of the things about this series is it has been unpredictable, so it's probably worth not getting too far ahead of ourselves, because
in a day's time we're going to be like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, draw deep into the 5th day. Works bowls, and forward goes Pujara, plays defensively to mid-wicket, and there's no run. Well, England bowled out for 80, chasing 150 to win.
Don't, Simon. Yeah, it's hard to call, isn't it? But
yeah, I mean, what
we're
do,
looking at the moment
yeah,
feels so bat.
Yeah.
They're gonna dig in.
Yeah, you apply your cricketing logic and your experience over the years of watching matches like this, pitches like this, and at the moment it feels like a very long game. Wokes goes wide of the crease, bowls, turned away by Pujara towards forward square leg, and there is no run. England do have the new ball, that might cause 1 or 2 problems, but of course you will have Rohit Sharma. There's a good chance Rohit Sharma will be there, and it's a lovely feeling, isn't it, to face 2 new balls as an opening bat.
Yeah, and also if it comes on nicely, that might just give him a little bit more to work with.
Yeah. The key is often to get a wicket before the new ball,
and then you can.
And then sometimes you can take a couple with it. Here is Wokes bowling to Pujara on 48, and Pujara drives sweetly but straight to mid-on. And Anderson picks up something Ollie Pope was saying last night. Right? post-match interview with him after his 81. He said, yeah, the pitch is quite slow. We've seen that today, and it's an opportunity to dig in and make the most of it. There's the Rishabh Pant factor as well. Is he going to finally turn up? If he breaks free. Wokes bowls down the leg side, slower delivery, missed by Pujara, trying to glance it away. Through to Bairstow.
You think that strategy's got to come off one in, well, what would it be, number 8? One in eight.
Yeah. 1 in 7, because he didn't bat in the second innings at Trent Bridge, did he?
Yeah. It's got to come off at some point.
Well, it did gloriously here in the second innings of the last series when he made 100 on the final day. Wokes moves in. This could be the last ball before tea, and Pujara plays defensively up towards mid-on. There is no run. It is the end of the over.
20 minutes for today's
And that has been India's afternoon session. They had to battle really hard this morning. It was such a tight tussle. But India have scored 91 for no wicket from 27 overs this afternoon at 3.37. And they walk off, not in an impregnable position, but in an increasingly strong position in this match. 199 for 1. They lead by exactly 100. Rohit, his first 100 outside India, 103 not out. Pujara is 48 not out. KL Rahul, the only man out today, for 46, given out by the third umpire on review. Caught behind by Bairstow off Anderson. So it's been about Indian batting domination today. The lights are still on, it's still overcast, and we've got one session to go in this day's play. We're only actually just past the halfway point in the match. It feels like a lot has happened, and with the prospect of a lot more enthralling cricket to come.